A Sunday night finale for the ages, capping off another wild and wonderful weekend for college baseball. Could it be that we have a new number one team? What about the dogs that push those Bruins to the limit? What about Vanderbilt? What about Arizona? We've got the answers to all of these pressing questions and more on this episode of College Baseball Now.
Yeah. Ain't no problems, that won't problem with me, no. Yeah.
Let me talk to the chat. They know I was gone for a minute, had to BRB. Had to grab a couple wins, what I did. They sleeping on the kid, I had to do it B.I.G. I can never be average, and they want a problem with the boy, they don't want no static. I don't need your cosign running with God. Wanna test that, tell them what's happening. Took control, run the game. Best believe I'm shining, dog. Counting up my wins, yeah, I love it when they count me out. Off the leash of the chain, boy, I've been a dog. Best believe I run the game, you know I'm in control of y'all. It's like magic, believe I want that static. Yeah, it's like magic, believe I want that static. Yeah, it's like magic, believe I want that static. Beat them up, knock them out. They really don't want no static.
Back to the grind, and at the top of the order, we are at another weekend's culmination for college baseball in 2026. And we're glad to be here with you on College Baseball Now. Starting with me, your friend, your host, your boy, Drew Wheeler. Glad to be here with you, as always, joined by my friends and yours. Going to start with the gentleman who is to my right on the screen. You know him. You love him. It's Mr. Josh Catlett. Josh, what's up, buddy?
Nothing much. Lot of weekend with a lot of baseball going on. That last, as you mentioned, that UCLA Mississippi State game was cinema. It was the perfect way to end the weekend. It was everything you could have wanted in a game. So looking forward to getting into talking about both those teams, honestly.
So, Josh, I know that you and I have a similar tendency to use the word cinema in both a sarcastic way, but then in also a legitimate way. I think that we're on the same page. That was a legitimately cinematic baseball game. Couldn't have scripted it better.
Yeah, we'll get into more of it later. But I mean, you know the meme. I think maybe the meme where it's like the guy sitting in the chair and he's like absolute cinema, like with his hands like this or whatever.
Of course.
That's just what comes to mind every time. So it's worked its way into my vocabulary. No issues.
So, Josh, I just this evening did have a date day with my wife. Went to see Scream 7. There are 7 of those movies now. 7. There are 7 screens. We got a lot of people in ghost masks. Josh, I'm curious. Do you have a favorite? Scary movie franchise by chance?
Oh, I've never been much of a scary movie guy, honestly. I'm blanking. Honestly,
do you have a favorite movie franchise with 7 entries, at least?
No. I don't think. Although it's slim pickings. Like,
have you seen movies?
I have seen a few movies in my lifetime.
Okay.
Yes. Although which is
your favorite?
Ask quite literally anybody that I know. I am not the movie guy. Like I have a list of things that I should see but haven't yet, and like I cannot tell you how many. I have a running joke with people when it comes to shows or movies. If you're starting a sentence with "Have you seen?" like the answer is no. I promise.
Yeah. I have a similar joke with my brother. He refers to things from the Marvel universe, and I always tell him, unless it happened before the second Guardians of the Galaxy, which is a crazy statement to make, I haven't seen it. Like, I'm so behind on everything.
I mean, I've watched the Guardians of the Galaxy series, like those, and then like I've watched all of the first phase of the the Avengers movie, like the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And then randomly I went and watched Endgame just cause, which is not how you should do it, but like
no, I don't think so.
It was good. I didn't understand any of the little like comments that were being made, but everyone else around me enjoyed it. So like
when they clap, you clap.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like,
it's a social thing.
Yeah.
That's scary. Well, good to know that I have a friend who has not seen the movie either, Josh. I'm always glad to have you on my side, buddy. In the bottom left on the evening, Mr. JB Sebastiano. JB, how are you, sir?
Doing great. How about you, Drew?
Thanks, man. I am okay. I had some bunch of crunch.
Okay.
Like crunch, but in like Poppable.
It's a great candy.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Solid choice.
I'd never had them. I'd never had them, but liked it. Wanted
Okay.
Raisinets, which is a controversial candy, I've learned, but I settled on Bunch of Crunch, which I think was a great ending. JB, do you have a favorite horror movie franchise? If not, favorite franchise with at least 7 entries?
I keep same as Josh. I'm not really a horror movie person. Like, I guess Ghostbusters is probably the spookiest thing I've ever watched, and that's
Okay.
not spooky. So,
All
we're
right.
going with that. 7 movie entries. I mean, my girlfriend just got me to watch like the start of Star Wars and like Harry Potter because it's
Sure.
like, culture. She's like, you got to watch
of
it at
course.
some point. So, yeah, I can't say I've watched too much of it, honestly.
What are you enjoying Star Wars or Harry Potter particularly?
We watched them at the beginning. I think I'm through the first 3 of each.
Okay.
In a sense. And solid. I'm not a big sci-fi person, I guess. So, I'm just
Alright.
kind of is what it is. But yeah, I'm more of I like Top Gun. Like Top Gun, that's my speed right there, something like that.
Okay. Adrenaline.
Yeah.
All right. I feel you. And in the bottom right corner, well, you are not Jake Bargery. Odd. No, definitely not Coach Jake, but joining us in his stead today is Brandon Payne. Brandon, it's an awesome honor for us to have you here on College Baseball Now. What's up?
Thank you, guys. I appreciate letting me fill in for Jake.
Yeah, you'll have to fill the role of coach today, so that's okay. Heavy shoes to fill in old Jake's chair, but we know you'll do a great job. And Brandon, I'm curious, a favorite scary movie franchise, or perhaps one with at least 7 entries?
Also not a horror guy, but I guess my favorite franchise would be James Bond franchise. There's way more than 7 of those, so.
There are a few more than 7, yeah.
And then I guess I could be like, I told my wife I'll start watching Fast and Furious when we get to Fast and Furious 10, and we've gotten there, so maybe when Scream gets to Scream 10, I'll watch them all again. So,
I'll say this. It's doubly ironic that I'm trying to grill you guys about horror movies because notoriously among my friends and family, not the horror guy. Drew hates it. I hate it. I don't like being scared. I really like the dramas. I like sweet movies and like action and sci-fi. I like all that, but scary, not for me. I get dragged to these a lot. Now that said, Scream I do like. Scream is very tongue-in-cheek, like it feels like they're kind of jabbing at you with like and I don't know, the kind of humor there I do like. It's kind of smart-ass humor, but either way, not here to talk about Scream, not here to talk about how we don't like movies, not here to talk about how Brandon is not Jake. Ironically, we're here to talk about what's on the 10, college baseball, and we better get to it now. Guys, crazy weekend. We were just talking about it a minute ago, and I think we'll jump right into it. At the top of the leaderboard has got to be talking about the Amity Bank Classic, and specifically the 2 teams that it came down to tonight as we're recording this is, of course, Sunday, March 1st, UCLA and Mississippi State. Brandon, looking at these 2 teams coming into this, Mississippi State, who obviously a ton of turnover, getting Coach O'Connor to come in, a lot of their transfers, a big name class of freshmen. I think we expected a lot out of them, but to go toe-to-toe with I think a consensus top 3 is a bottom bar for UCLA. To see them go toe-to-toe with that team, what did that do for your impression of Mississippi State?
Well, with Mississippi State being an SEC program, you expect them to play tough games all the time, right? Like when I think of college baseball, you think of SEC, you think of college football, it's SEC, right?
Sure.
But UCLA coming into this had already swept TCU. They're undefeated except for that San Diego State game, but it is what it is, right? It's going to happen in a season, Yeah,
definitely.
But they got tested this week, and they passed the test, right? They knocked off Tennessee, Texas A&M, and then, as we're recording, Mississippi State in 10 innings. So,
yeah,
I think it says more about like the quality of baseball that was played in that tournament more than the teams themselves. So
that's interesting. We kind of talked about that on the last episode about how when we look at, kind of the Amity Classic and these 3 different sets of teams that were going to play at Globe Life, this was the creme de la creme, kind of all rising together here. And I'm with you on that. JB, going to go to you because Southern California, that just feels like a JB thing to talk about. So I'll ask you, pal, Has there been in your mind, I'll say this, in your mind, has there been a tougher opponent for UCLA thus far than Mississippi State on the season?
No, I don't think they played anybody as tough as Mississippi State. I mean, maybe if you want to go down the pitching route, having to face Tegan Kuhns on the first night is a really tough matchup. And, obviously they handled that very well as well.
They did.
Yeah, I mean, I think they showed everybody that they can handle elite pitching without a problem, honestly. So it's kind of a funny thing to look at this team is, as Josh said, the midweeks people critique them for losing to San Diego State, and it's something that happens a lot, and midweeks don't really matter, but, they show that obviously the midweeks don't matter. I mean, that team is just a juggernaut right now, and especially with Rock and Gasparino, can't stop.
It is crazy, isn't it? And the I guess one of the things that sticks with me the most about that game is that when you consider that Rock tied it up, and then you get to Mississippi State, and not only in the one instance that a ground rule double is what you don't want to see, and that's what comes up from Mississippi State. Again, I hate to say it, but cinema, truly cinema. Whoever scripted that, Sandy Koufax, the Lord, man, they were on their A game with this one. Josh, gonna go to you. I think this is a complicated question, so I have two for you, if that's okay. The first one is, I think me and you are gonna be in the same boat. I think JB's in the same boat. Brandon, I'm assuming you're gonna feel the same way as well. Certainly, no, Jake is gonna feel this way. I know Jake feels this way for sure. I think my impression, Josh, of Mississippi State following this is somehow better, regardless of the outcome. Do you agree?
I would say so. I mean, it's the weekend as a whole kind of encapsulated. I mean, they beat Arizona State 8-4, handled them pretty well, beat Virginia Tech by 7. Those are solid teams. We're notoriously pretty high on Arizona State. I think having a lead and as late into that game as they did, and for being honest, kind of like giving up the home run like that to Rock is like, if you're going to give it up to anybody, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, don't want to be this guy, but like I have not checked social media to know if State fans are saying this, but I can just go ahead and assume if you're watching that game, when bases were loaded in the bottom of the ninth, and I forget, I'm blanking on who was up bat, but it was called strike 3 when it should have been ball 4. They showed on the broadcast that it was actually a ball, and it was a wrong ball that would have decided the game. So if we're gonna I hate to go down that path immediately. That was it. Yes, you're right. I hate to go down that path immediately.
But let's go down it though, Josh.
No, look, but it further proves the point of if we think Mississippi State actually is that good, they technically probably should have won that game, and there was
on two instances.
Right, yeah, the ground rule double. I mean, come on, if that ball, when that ball left the bat, in my mind, I'm like, wow, they walked it off. And
game over, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, are you kidding me? That's how that ends. So part of you feels bad for State because they played so well, and it just ended like that.
It's interesting, too, and that a beautiful transition, Josh. Well done. Checks in the mail for you.
Thank you.
You think about this Mississippi State offense specifically, because I think that at least in my mind, I've kind of poo-pooed the pitching a little bit, and they have pitched well this season. They're clunky. There's clunkiness, but they are effective. They get it done. But the bats, I think that it was super interesting that UCLA, knowing that you've got Easton Hawk on the mound, who was, I'd say close to dominant, if not dominant last year in the 9th inning, right? I mean, yeah. I'm sure you guys might agree with that. Walking Bryce Chance, who we know has a notorious clutch gene this year for Mississippi State. Just you set yourself up for that one-on-one with Teal, and then it's like you said, Josh, that pitch, it just right on the black, right off the black there. It's just I don't know. Again, it's cinematic almost how it just happened to go exactly how it needed to be as dramatic as it was, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's not only – I mean, you mentioned this. I think a lot of people before the season started were talking about how Mississippi State's offense is going to be the thing that carries them. I was on here saying I think the pitching is actually their best strength. And kind of both sides – well, most of the offense showed this weekend, but there were some bright spots. Ryan McPherson looked phenomenal on Friday. He went 7 innings, only allowing 1 run on 4 hits.
Right.
He looked really good. Some of the there were some bullpen guys, sold in certain spots, but that happens. I mean, the offense as well, it was not even just the big names. Ace Reese looked good, Aiden Teal looked good, sure. But on the weekend, Ryder Woodson went 7 for 13 with 3 doubles. Reed Stallman had 2 home runs today. He went 5 for 8 on the weekend as a whole. Like, it's guys like that have stepped up and really are like, they're going to be the thing that puts them over the edge if they continue to step up like that. And so, like, I think on all fronts, we kind of saw it from Mississippi State. I was skeptical. I know y'all were kind of skeptical for a little bit compared to like most people, but they showed me everything I needed to see this past weekend. And I'm all in on them being the cream of the crop in the SEC and the whole country, all of it.
I think so too. Gentlemen, before we wrap up on this competition, UCLA and Mississippi State, because I know State has been insanely impressive. I think that's probably the best way to put it, is because, again, Josh, you again really eloquently said it. We all sort of had our doubts about the Bulldogs, even though you bring in all this talent, you bring in the big name, high dollar coach, you have these freshmen who somehow aren't drafted. It's like a perfect storm in Starkville in a sense, and yet something felt amiss. If I could be so bold, JB, what do you think is the number one takeaway you have that you can kind of tick the box in your head and say, well, I didn't know Mississippi State had this, but I feel much better about it after seeing this weekend?
I think it's kind of like how you talked about it, the pitching, just how well it worked, I think, overall on the weekend. I think them being able to step up in the big spots and make good pitches and big moments for them, I think, was the biggest thing. And the rotation kind of showing more stability than maybe we projected going into the year.
Right.
They had a lot of fun pieces for the rotation and a lot of quality talent, but you never know how it's going to work out in an SEC play or kind of going into it. It's really tough. Everybody's got top end talent in the rotation in the SEC. So I think that showing from them on that scale really helps them in a sense. And I think it's going to be something to really look forward to, I think, in the near future here.
I think so too. We talked about, or, Josh, again, just a minute ago, brought up how McPherson on Friday morning had the absolute duel of all duels going with Cole Carlin. For what, 4 innings? It got to the 5th with
Carlone.
Yeah,
Carlone got to the 5th. That's right. Yeah, cramped out. And I mean, legitimately though, it was like, okay, I'm going to sit down the side. Well, all right, Big Hoss, I'm going to sit down the side. These two guys were going blow for blow and toe to toe. And this is all. I'll wear this one on the chest. I didn't think McPherson had it in him. I didn't see him as being at that talent level, but I'm delighted to be wrong. So I'm glad to hear, JB, that you kind of felt the same way, knowing that this Mississippi State team is for real. I think it's good that we're all kind of coming to this realization together. I know the country has been big on them. And like you said, Josh, we've almost been the low outlet on them. Brandon, that'll bring us back to you to kind of wrap this up. I know that we don't ask you guys to do your top 25 and top 30s. We just kind of take that as, us here as the host of the show. But I'm curious, if you were going to put together a top 25 to be submitted for ranks or just for your own purposes, Brandon, even though they lost to UCLA in the finals of this Amity Bank Classic this weekend, what's the lowest you would reasonably have Mississippi State?
Can you guys remind me what they were coming into this game?
I think Mississippi State had lost one game, had they not?
Or what rank that you had them?
They're number 4 at like D1, which is the main one used. I don't know what we had them personally as. It was like 10, if we're being honest, but nationally they're like 4.
Yeah, we have Mississippi State.
Yeah,
9. That's
we did. Yeah, okay. We had them at 9. Most places had them in the top 5.
I mean, I would probably keep them at 4 if I were you guys and I was ranking them. I mean, okay. They beat Arizona State, who's a good team,
Mm-hmm.
So
that is.
And you're losing to the number 1 team in the country. You can't really by 1 run in extras when you probably should have won the game, right? So I don't think you should get penalized for that.
Right.
I'm glad you brought that up, though, Brandon, just because I think it's interesting. And the final question I'm going to ask about these two teams, Josh, we'll go to you, and then we'll tag off. We'll talk about another couple teams for a minute. Josh, I think that we penalized TCU. TCU lost to UCLA in their series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think there may be people at home that don't understand the discrepancy between TCU got a significant drop. I don't think State's going to have that big of a drop. Would you explain why, Josh? And I think it's simple in my brain, but just explain it nonetheless.
There's a couple things in my head. So, first of all, are you referring to TCU after losing to UCLA or after their Arlington performance? Those are very different.
You're right. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You're correct.
No, I'm asking which are you referring to?
Well, I meant UCLA specifically, but
Okay.
you bring up a good.
So I would say, in my mind, there's a couple things to this. First of all, I think in baseball more than other sports, you see people at least early in the year try not to be super reactionary to these things because it's baseball. Weird things happen. The ball bounces weird ways. Exhibit A, how the state game ended with the ground rule double and the mid strike and whatever. So I think you see people try not to be overreactionary when there's close results. Also, on the weekend as a whole, Mississippi State looked dominant the first 2 days against good teams. They looked really, really good through the first 8.5 innings of this game today. So it's kind of hard to penalize them for how they looked when, if we're being honest, they probably should have won this game against UCLA. TCU just went on the road, granted, going on the road against the number one team in the country, and they just got killed. The floor was wiped with them the entire weekend. So, I mean, you have to punish them in some way. I know it's tough to be going to play the best team in the country all the way out in California. It's tough, but there's levels to this. It's a weekend as a whole, and if we're going to look at, not 27, the 28 innings of baseball that Mississippi State played this weekend, they looked really, really, really good in about 26, 27 of them. So it's kind of hard to dock them. I think all of us actually rose them. So, goes to show you even more.
That's the exact, you couldn't have said it better, is the whole point I was hoping to have you make there is for 20, well, I'll even call it 25, right? Let's dock it even further than you. For 25 of 28 innings of baseball they played this weekend, they looked incredible. That looked like an incredible team. I think that the difference is what you do against that top competition. That's the point I was hoping to make there. Okay, awesome. Thank you, John. All right, let's move on. JB, we're going to talk to you about this one because we picked on these two teams last episode. We're going to talk about Florida and Miami. Curious, JB, because if I remember rightly, and I'm going to let you tell me, we talked a lot about how Miami's offense was just this juggernaut. We talked about the OPS on all these guys. We talked about the power on all these guys. Where was that, JB? I didn't happen to see much of it.
Yeah, so I guess I'll get it started on the one guy that I think a lot of us know my personal opinion on he got a lot of glazing is the nicest way to put it on that broadcast from a lot of what they were talking about, and he really didn't do him justice at the plate to make him look very good on the broadcast. As our friend of the pod, Daniel Cuvée, he had a pretty brutal outing at the plate against Liam Peterson, to say it lightly, on Friday night. As in the middle of him getting called a first-round prospect or whatever they were saying up there, Liam Pearson put him away pretty quickly with 3 straight breaking balls with the bases juice. So,
yep.
I think you kind of see what the Miami team is. They're big on slug, but against elite level pitching, I think that they're probably going to punch out a lot too. At the same time, it's going to be an issue for them. The middle of the order we talked about, Sosa has been a bright spot for them. He's really stepped up in a lot of spots for them, and I think he's done well, and so is Derek Williams. But it's Miami team. It's a lot of swagger and a lot of big stuff going on around them, which is great, and they're going to do well in ACC play most likely. But I just think Florida was the perfect combination of enough offense and elite level arms to run the buzzsaw in Miami. I think that's what their issue is going to be, is the pitching at Miami is going to be stock-ish, I'd say. It's slightly above average. It's not anything that's going to be crazy for them compared to a Florida team who's trotting out possible first-rounders and elite arms, like a freshman throwing 101 in the 9th inning. Miami, they don't have anything like that. There's nothing like that for them. And, I will say the balk call that gave Florida the lead was a little interesting. I'll say that much. By the rule, it's a balk, but when the play goes through like that and then you decide to really come down on that one is a very interesting stance by that umpire. So, I think Miami, it's kind of what we expect. I think it's more of a coming back down to earth for them rather than anything else, in my opinion, after playing a really good Florida team.
I like that phrasing. Maybe not like a whipping in a sense, but let's bring you back down to earth in a sense. Let's recalibrate. I recalibrate, bringing them back down to earth. Josh, when we talk about these two teams, Florida and Miami, we talked about the fact that Florida had the arms, Miami had the bats, and yet Florida, they won 2 games here. So that says a lot about their bats too.
I'd say so. I mean, their best guys stepped up consistently more than Miami's best guys stepped up, which before we were like on the preview pod, we mentioned how Florida has a clear advantage on the pitching side of things. But offensively, if anyone, it's Miami, but it's probably pretty close. It didn't seem like it this weekend. Like Brendan Lawson went 3 for 3 with a home run on Friday. Cash Strayer had a good day on Saturday, 2 for 3 with a double. Guys on Miami, like JB mentioned, like even like Daniel Cuvée, 0 for 7 with 3 strikeouts between the 2 games. Alex Sosa, kind of like, well, JB mentioned like he's been doing better this year. Not this weekend, 1 for 8, 3 strikeouts. Jake Ogden went 1 for 9. It's like guys that just you're used to having production and have the entire year, nothing. So Florida's bats as a whole, I mean, like it's not notoriously the best pitching staff at Miami compared to other teams you're going to see. But I mean, like I feel like it's a power conference team. It's a top 25 team clearly. So you can't just like put it to the side. You have to acknowledge what happened and admit like really, really, like really good offense that is probably going to translate to later in the year, you would imagine.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. Surely, you have to think that. But yeah, I'm with you, Josh. I agree with that.
The one thing too, like not to jump on it too, and to piggyback off of Josh, I guess a name that I should mention is Ethan Surweck had one of the bigger moments in the second game where Lawson came up. They decided to intentionally walk him. He had 4 Ks on the day and then pumps a 3-run homer out of there to give them a nice lead. So I think that's another guy too that he had a really nice weekend as well.
That's very Ethan Surweck too. That's just kind of his game. Like strike out 4 times, 3-run bomb. That's on brand.
Yep.
On brand for Surweck for sure. But like JB said, and Josh, you're right. It is his brand. And I mean, if that's his MO, then I mean he found a way to deliver on it and it benefited his team. So hard to argue with it. Brandon, Josh brought us in really well about Brendan Lawson. Obviously Florida, I think he leads that team in a sense that like, we talk a lot on the show about Alabama going the way that Justin LeBron goes in a sense. I think Florida is not necessarily on that same trend. Florida's got a really talented team, but Lawson's the sort of player that I think rising tide lifts all boats, if that makes sense. And I think that Lawson could be considered that rising tide. In terms of the 2027 class, is there anybody that you like more than Brendan Lawson off the top of your head?
Not that I know of, honestly. I was gonna like kind of hark on Miami for them posting
Go ahead.
Their sweet jerseys on Twitter and then just not showing up in the games, but I could be a little biased towards how I feel about Miami, but
Brandon, it's funny.
I mean, I guess in sense, is it Dax Whitby for
Whitney,
Oklahoma State or
Oregon State?
Oregon State?
Dax Whitby, yeah.
I'm more of a pitching guy than a hitting guy, so he'd probably be the guy I would take over him. So that's me,
okay, but that's quality for sure. And I know that JB is never going to dog you for wanting to take a quick dunk on Miami. If you get the breakaway and you can dunk on an ACC team that's not UNC, it generally goes over well with this audience. So
it generally goes great on Twitter. Well. They obviously didn't look great on the field. So
maybe that was part of this. Is we didn't want to sully up the good uniforms. We're not hustling here. I don't know, guys. You said it though, JB. I think you brought it up how Cuvée, it was the 3 straight breaking balls at bat. The look on his face, I don't know whether I felt worse for him or worse for the team because I could see it in his eyes. He was just like I can't say it because we try to be relatively family friendly on this podcast, but there were some swears going through that brain. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I mean, you watched his at bats, and you could see a little bit of him getting real frustrated up there after his first few. Because I mean, I forget the first at bat how he punched out. I think it might have been on a breaking ball too. He chased something out of the zone in the second at bat. It was just 3 straight sliders in a row, just nowhere near the zone, and he went for all 3 of them, and it was just straight back to the dugout. So. Yeah, I don't know. I also don't understand. I guess I should say this too. Like, this isn't to harp on it, but I don't understand them sitting up there in the booth and just calling this. They're like, surefire first rounder, all this stuff. It's like, guys, like, just do a little research before we even hit the button. They're like, yeah, this quick MLB pipeline search would help you out before we get on this track of surefire first rounder or something. Like, come on, guys.
This Cuvée customer up there. Surefire first rounder. I don't know if y'all have heard.
Talk to us in
right.
July. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. It's like he's a good player, but that's a little strong to be going on there.
And let's give him a little bit of his due, right? Just a little bit. Talent, there's surely talent here, but there's work to be done. I think surefire first rounder.
He's a day one guy.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Sure. He's a day one guy.
Yes, he's a day one guy. I like that a lot better wording, Josh. There you go.
Thank you.
They also called the Light one of the best fields in college baseball, and as someone who played there with you, it ain't one of the best in college baseball. No, thank you.
JB, do you have something you need to tell us?
When we took a trip down there, all I gotta say is the Light is not a top 10 ballpark in the country, like they also said. I was like, I don't know about that one. That's a little lofty there.
If you're listening to this by chance and you did color commentary for the Miami baseball series this weekend, just know JB hates your guts. That's all. I'm kidding, JB. All right, Josh, we're going to come back to you because, buddy, I think it's time we have a conversation. And it's going to be a difficult one. Should we talk about Vanderbilt?
I think so. I didn't really want to jump the gun after the first weekend in Arlington when they didn't look great. I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt a little bit.
Yeah.
They beat up on bad competition.
Yeah.
This weekend was just rough, though. Like, they never really were competitive in a ton of – like, in the sixth inning of the Irvine and the Arizona game, it just kind of got away from them. Like, Alex Kranzler kind of blew it a little bit in the Arizona game. Irvine, I think Irvine put up like a 4 spot maybe in the sixth, something like that. The Oregon game seemed over for a while. Like, Vandy never held a lead. It was just that offense that we're used to seeing produce like really well just didn't really have even a decent weekend. But it wasn't like some of these other teams, it's because all their stars will just have super down weekends. That wasn't the case here. Like, the only star of theirs that had like a particularly bad weekend, I would say Riker Waite went 1 for 9 with 5 strikeouts on the weekend. Everyone else was just kind of like average to a little below average, but there's no glaring holes there. It's just like as a whole, they couldn't put together solid at bats, solid innings, and string together, even put up like a 2 spot in an inning very often. Like, well, matter of fact, they didn't put up 2 runs in 2 of the games as a whole. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to jump the gun on things. I mean, they're going to get tested at LSU in a couple weeks from now, and I guess we'll really, really find out then. But it's hard to jump the gun right now, but they've played 2 weekends of really solid competition, and I think have gone to combine 1-5 in those games. So it just kind of makes you think.
It really does. I think that, like you said, you can't blame this on the guys at the top either.
No,
this is certainly not, and I hate to keep going to Justin LeBron, but it's not like that where, like we said, that Alabama goes the way that he goes. It's not like that.
We'll get to him later.
Will we ever? Will we ever? Because, boy, that 9th inning, it delivered. You were right to say, if y'all didn't see it, go watch this. And, man,
yeah.
Wheels made his ad revenue money on that for sure. I watched that video twice today. JB, going to go to you, man. Vanderbilt. I'm with Josh entirely on this point. It feels almost sacrilegious is the wrong word. It feels almost criminal to say, like, Vanderbilt's kind of trash at this point in the season.
Yeah.
But they've looked so incomplete, inconsistent, bad. What's the word here, JB? And then elaborate.
I mean, I think the thing that's really stuck out to me with them is how bad they've been fundamentally, I'd say, so far this year. For some reason, the fundamentals have been very lacking for Vanderbilt. A lot of errors in the first weekend, and then, this past weekend, again, you kind of see the defensive play kind of being shaky. On top of that, you throw in there, they're without Colin Barcy right now, who's like one of the biggest storylines of that first weekend of baseball with the 3 homers. So that doesn't help your offense that we talked about how little power they had in this weekend. They really didn't show any power again. So we went from they answered the power question to they don't have any power again. So it's what offense are we going to get? And then it kind of comes back down to, the pitching just not being as crisp as we're used to seeing with Vandy. The pitching usually is the driving force, and it's usually been a very good staff for them. I think it's something that where, right now, none of the guys on staff have looked very crisp. They haven't had a lot of clean outings. It's been kind of so up and down. So I think it's kind of a mixed bag with Vanderbilt of a team that's not what we're accustomed to seeing from a pitching and defense side, I'd say.
It's JB, that's right. It is the fundamentals. And it's bizarre because I know that Josh, JB, we've talked about it a lot with Jake. And I feel like consistently we talk about Vanderbilt. We talk about how the overarching theme was we need to see the power out of them this year. We're not sure where it's going to come from. Could it be that they were like, hey, we're going all in on power this year. All of the normal Corbinisms are kind of out the door here because the fundamentals are suspect. The pitching is suspect, but boy, we could really yak the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How weird is that?
I think it's strange for Corbin. It's a very strange build to a team because Corbin usually, you watch them and it's a very put together Vanderbilt team. Even when they're not great, last year, they weren't the most exciting team, but they did the little things well, top to bottom. And that's why they were the number 1 seed last season going into regional play. And this year it's been the complete opposite. They've showed a lot of big flash and everybody's talked about Bargery or Johnston and, whoever it is that's hitting homers at the time. And it kind of just turns into a mess on defense. Losing them games kind of has been a thing. So I don't know.
Josh, I'm going to come back to you really quickly. If you could add, let's say you have genie in the bottle kind of power. You can add one skill to Vanderbilt right now. What would be the one that would help them the most?
This is a great question. What's really, y'all touched on it. What's really ironic is this past weekend, it seemed like power, which is what we were concerned with coming into the year, but haven't been at the beginning. Throughout the entire rest of the season so far. It's not necessarily a skill, and this sounds like a cop-out answer, but it's truth. Just consistency, because we've seen such different things from them. It's just yes, obviously baseball is a volatile sport, and that's how sports are in general most of the time. But just in particular with them, it's not even a game to – well, in Arlington it was game to game, but it's not even a game-to-game basis thing for them all the time. It's weekend to weekend, you're seeing completely different teams. And I never know what to expect from them. They could take 2 out of 3 from LSU, and I'd be like, well, I've seen flashes of this. It would shock me, sure, but I've seen flashes of this. I just want to see some kind of cohesiveness that on a game-to-game basis from them. I don't know.
I get that. No, Josh, that's perfect way. You want to see cohesion, you want to see consistency, and that's what we're not seeing. And I think that is kind of the basis of this conversation, and I love that point. Brandon, going to come to you here. And Josh really led into it well a moment ago, a lot of the guys who you expect to be there, it's not that they didn't perform, it's just maybe not in the ways that would have benefited Vanderbilt most. So I'm curious, who is it that you wanted to see maybe a little bit more of out of this weekend?
Braden Holcomb, probably 6 home runs. I did hit one this weekend for 7. I did notice that he's on his 3rd different position in 3 years, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. You never know what the guy's mental status is on that.
It's true.
But yeah, outside of that, you've got Brody Johnson at 5 home runs, and then you don't have anyone until Johnston, Gooden, and Barksey at 3 each. So I don't know if home runs are really a skill, like Josh was saying. I don't know. You hit the ball right, that's a skill, but I don't know if a home run is exactly a skill. But home runs.
Giancarlo Stitt made a career out of home run skill, Brandon.
But I'll have to be his designated bag chip open for the rest of his life. Apparently, he can't do that anymore.
That's fair. That's
home runs come in bunches, so you just never know when someone might break out.
That's been the case with Barksey specifically. You have a 3 home run game, and then all of a sudden, kind of fall off the face of the earth for the next couple of weeks. I have an odd question for you, Brandon, unrelated to college baseball, but since you brought it up, what would be the lowest yearly salary you would accept from Giancarlo Stanton to open chip bags for him in just a given year, just when he needs chips opened?
God, I'd probably take $20 an hour, so maybe $50,000 a year to open a bag of chips for him, I'm sure he can afford it,
Good junk. If you're looking for a guy, Brandon's your guy.
Maybe if he changed his name back to Mike, he'd be able to open a bag of chips up.
I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that. I've seen plenty of Mike's open chips, but I've never seen a single other Giancarlo, period. So, all right.
I was
Let's
also
talk
going to
with-
mention real quick about
Yeah,
Vandy's
please.
schedule. Basically, their entire month of March is at home, so that might help them out a bit. I mean, they do have to go to
Good
Mississippi
point.
State. They have LSU and Tennessee at home,
do.
so who knows?
Oh,
Maybe,
I thought they had to go,
maybe a good rivalry game against Tennessee will fire them up. Who knows?
I thought they had to go to LSU. That certainly helps in that case. If they get to that home.
Being in Hawkins is going to be a whole lot of a different story for sure than the box. But I don't know. I think the overarching thing here with Vanderbilt, not to continue plowing on this field, I gotta see one way or another. I want to see who this team is. If this is just the anti-Corbin and we're just power merchants now, sweet, that's awesome. I'm a Tennessee fan. I can get behind the power merchant team. What are you?
Also, just one other thing I forgot to mention that I probably should, just to harp on this point. Not only was it what happened in their games, it's more who it was against. Not only was it it was solid competition, but Arizona had won one game coming into this weekend, and they got handled. Vandy got handled by them. Irvine, we've had questions about Irvine's offense the entire year, and they put up 9 on Vandy. It's just things like that too. It's not even like the results are the results. You can look at the scores and say one thing, but if you really actually dig deep into who the teams are they played and what the specific results are, it really makes you raise eyebrows.
JB, that we did mention Irvine, so that triggers you to have one sentence if you want to talk about Irvine really quick.
Just all I got to say is how Josh talked about how bad this offense is last time, and then immediately they start scoring runs. So, I mean, I hope Josh keeps speaking ill of this year Irvine anteater.
Why am I getting shots here? We all agreed on that. Why am I the one that's getting targeted?
To be fair, I think that was a universal thing, JB. So fire one my way as well. That's fair.
Drew gets half a point on that. Josh still gets a full point on that one.
This is unreal.
Thanks, JB. Checks in
I'll be meeting with my attorneys.
There you go.
LG's on my side, so don't worry. We got it covered.
Oh, we know. We
know. All right. Shout out LG. Here's your episode daily shout out. The homie, the best friend of the pod. Hope you're doing well, sir. Enjoy the episode. All right. We got to make it through a couple more topics before we wrap up. We've still got to talk about midweeks because, guys, a couple of really interesting midweek games, but we've got a couple more things to roll through really quickly. I want to talk, and I'm going off a schedule here because I really want to hear you guys' opinions on the Clemson South Carolina series. Man, classic rivalry baseball where South Carolina just ran back and socked Clemson in the face. An interesting series. JB, what was the take in the Carolinas? Has the ground been rumbling all weekend or what?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, I remember watching the first game when I forget who the lefty is that closed out the game, but he's sticking his tongue out and screaming and pumping up the crowd. And I think it's Valentine, I think is who it was on the mound, but he went. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Josh, give me the look like I'm wrong.
I'm thinking myself too. I can visualize the guy in my head.
Yeah, I know the guy's face. I'm forgetting the name, but he went berserko. And then the next day, Clemson comes back and wins in Columbia at the Firefly Stadium, and their announcer starts talking a whole bunch of trash right back, which was awesome. He's like, no shenanigans, no antics needed, just a clean old-fashioned win out of the Clemson Tigers, and I was like, hey, go get them, I love that. And then they finish it off today at home, Clemson. So I think the biggest storyline is, what happens to Maneri. I mean, they were already calling for his head after they lost to Queens, and then you lose the series to Clemson, and it's like one of what has been now called one of the worst college baseball hires in the past decade is on real thin ice right now. So I'm really curious to see what the future of the Gamecock program is going to be after that.
Josh, one of the worst hires in the last 10 years, Paul Maneri, say it ain't so.
It just sounds
no.
Do you remember, I guess it was the episode we had about the Christmas wishes, and I remember I talked about how South Carolina fans feel about Paul Maneri and how if things go bad really quickly, it's gonna get way worse fast, and boy has it already. But I mean, there was I don't know if they can take that little bit of energy from Friday and just try and milk it into later in the year, because I mean, JB mentioned it, all the antics going on. I could go on about this series from a pure passion standpoint about what's going on. I mean, not only was whoever the guy was, I'm blanking. The pitcher at the end of the first game, he was like doing like a little shimmy, like a little shake before he would pitch it for literally for like 2 innings. Like he was so confident. And then Eric Bakich fired back on Saturday in the post game saying we don't celebrate our one win like it's a Super Bowl. I mean, I was watching the Saturday game, and it's like not only was the on the field stuff great, there were like some camera angles showing from like I have this vivid memory of one time where South Carolina tagged somebody out at home, and there was an angle like kind of like it was from third base, like the third base camera showing behind home plate. South Carolina fans behind home plate were reacting like European soccer team fans, which was going nuts. It's like the 4th inning of a Saturday game in March or February, I guess, at that point. Like, I don't know. Clemson had the band and cheerleaders in the stands today. Like, I'm telling you, these two fan bases for baseball specifically go so nuts. But, I mean, it's worth it every single time. So, hopefully, I don't know. South Carolina wants that kind of energy back all the time, and Maneri is not getting that for them at all. At least they won the one home game, I guess.
Yeah, for South Carolina's sake, I really hope you're right, Josh. I hope that little bit of just the words I want to say here are not appropriate for the podcast, so I'll just say that little bit of oomph in their guts. They need to stretch that and extend it through the rest of the season for sure. We'll jump around a little bit quicker, guys. Oregon, by hook and by crook, have won the Live Like Lou Classic. Josh, we thought it was going to be – thought it might be Arizona. Thought it might be we thought this kind of went off the rails when you were trying to put the stamp on this, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the first time since we've been doing the pick'em that there's been any kind of tiebreaker had to be used. And they need to go to a second one, too. Like, not only were they both 2-1, but they had a run differential of +5. But Oregon beat Arizona, so technically they won the tournament. I don't know. I mean, they look solid. I mean, they look how we thought they the entire weekend, or how we thought they might, since there were talks about some people putting them in the top 10 at different places. Like, we just haven't seen anything from Oregon against good competition yet. But besides against Irvine, they looked pretty solid this weekend. So, I don't know. It was weird trying to figure out, like I told y'all, like in the docket, it's like, all right, we're going to talk about Irvine because they did the best this weekend. Then it's like, oh, never mind, it was Arizona. And then it's like, oh, this one useless run scored at the end of the Arizona-Irvine game is the one that gave it to Oregon to technically win this thing. It was so stupid.
That's the one that mattered, I guess. JB, kind of a similar question to you talking about Oregon. Man, what do we make here of this team? I think that we all kind of had enough to like nudge back, like, yeah, but really, who have they played? But now, some folks.
Yeah, I think for Oregon, I think the biggest thing, I guess, that's a takeaway from this is they've looked like a very good offensive team through 3 games against 3 solid pitching staffs, I'd say. So, the offense has been really something that's proven now instead of just being against kind of lackluster competition like we kind of talked about. The pitching also stepped up enough, I'd say, on the weekend to show that they're a team that's going to compete in the Big Ten. They're probably still one of the biggest threats to UCLA in that conference, probably, if not the biggest. So, yeah, I think honestly it's kind of what we expected and a good transition for them getting into Big Ten play here soon for them to come off a high note.
I think so too. Don't want to dilly-dally too long on that because we got another kind of tournament event to talk about. The Frisco Classic. And Brandon, we're going to start with you because talking about Frisco, you have to start with Dax Whitney, right? I think that obviously you look at this guy who has JB, give me a word for Dax Whitney. Like, just describe him in one word. I'm running out of them.
Outlier.
Josh, do you have a word?
I was just gonna say like outstanding. So 2 words.
I was gonna say exceptional. So I mean, outlier, exceptional, outstanding. Brandon, what's the take on Whitney?
I mean, for what he's doing as a sophomore is pretty impressive. I mean, holding it up for the Independents is awesome too. But like I mentioned earlier, I love pitchers. I'm a big pitcher guy. I mean, does he go top of the draft next year? Who knows? I mean, he could. The way he's pitching now, why not, right? He still has another year of eligibility left, but it'd be great to see him in like the SEC, maybe what he does against those teams. But I mean, what he's doing so far is great, and I don't know, he's a freak. I'd love to go see him live, honestly.
You ought to. You have a better opportunity than me.
I do, yeah. Have
So,
to go down to SD and watch him, I guess.
There you go. I think, guys, we actually talked about maybe on the air, could have been off the air, about if Whitney were in this class, where you'd take him. And I mean, I can think of one name I like better than him.
I think 2 is the max.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Fluky and Flora are the 2 that could go above him, but at that point, that's it. But also, ironically, this just came to mind as I'm saying it out loud. None of those 3 guys are in power conference teams, which is just kind of funny to me. I don't know.
That is true. Interesting for sure. Because like Brandon said, I'm curious, if you have that little bit extra of a in-season gauntlet, what it would look like. But, I mean, chances are pretty good. Maybe not quite as good, but, I mean, we saw just last season a guy who I would define as having outlier stuff because #Homer, Liam Doyle has absolutely outlier stuff. And, I mean, in the SEC, he definitely got touched more than he did beating up on the, whoever's of the world, leading off in midweeks. But at the same time, I don't know. It's just interesting, the thought. The other team we need to talking about the Frisco Classic, of course, Alabama. They came away with the victory in that event. Josh, you said it a minute ago, we were going to talk about the insanity that was that game. Ethan Kleinschmidt looking a little bit unlike himself, huh?
Yeah, I mean, well, speaking of guys looking not like themselves, I mean, Justin LeBron at the end of that game certainly didn't. I mean, on the weekend as a whole, he looked. We've said certain things about LeBron on this podcast we won't get back into, but he looked good on the weekend as a whole. He was, as usual, Bama's best offensive guy. He went 6 for 13 this weekend, had a couple home runs, 7 RBI. But on the 9th inning of that game against Oregon State yesterday, defense is supposed to be, if not his best trait, one of his best traits. And he booted just a routine ground ball. Booted is the best word to describe it. He just booted a routine ground ball. And then later on in the inning, it ended up yes, he did end up getting the force out at second to end the game. But he bobbled and booted another routine ground ball. But he got back to it in time because of how hard the ball was hit. But it was just super weird. No one else on the Bama offense really had a phenomenal weekend, even though the offense looked really good. But per usual, LeBron was the guy to carry the weight of that team. But I don't know. There were a couple things this weekend that just kind of made me, I don't know, raise my eyebrows and look at me like, is this the set? Who are you and what have you done with Justin LeBron?
So JB, I love that point, Josh. To go to you, JB, booted the ball is a great turn of phrase there. But to have that happen twice in the same inning, and of course LeBron came away with the glove flip right to the back. Couldn't have been, again, a cinematic play. That should have come out of the UCLA and Mississippi State game, the way it was just a perfectly cinematic glove flip of a play. First question, JB, did you ever have a play like that in the infield? And second question, second question is, LeBron defensively, should we have more question marks than we do?
Well, to answer the first question, no, nothing ever that cool. I mean, I made one diving play in my first college game and then tagged the bag at third to get the guy out, which was, kind of sick, but not like that play. It wasn't as clean. But LeBron, he's always shown that he's a good defender. I think overall, when you watch the tape for a while, some guys have a momentary blip like that. Sometimes it's something that, maybe gets into your head mentally and is an issue for a little bit and then has to be ironed out. So I don't know, I guess off of one game, one sample size where we can go with that. But I think if you take as a collective, I think he's still a plus defender long term. So I wouldn't put too much stock into it, but if it becomes an issue over the season, I'd say it becomes an issue. The biggest thing I'd say with infielders is throwing issues, but we haven't seen that from him. So
yeah, I think that would be kind of sound the alarms on Justin LeBron, because even realistically, Josh, you're right to call it out. But I mean, he made the play when it counted. The out was made. It was not well. There was an element of beauty to it, but I think it was in the wow of it. But either way, good stuff. Josh, we're going to keep it with you. We will keep it with SEC teams, and as a matter of fact, we'll keep it with SEC teams in the state of Alabama because it has come time for your annual chat about Auburn.
I mean, this weekend wasn't the prettiest thing in the world because you lost that Friday game in extras. It was a great game against Nebraska anyways. But the past couple of days, just dominant from a team that, or from a Nebraska team that we think is solid, possible postseason team, possible at-large team. It was just pure domination. It's from guys that you like. Okay, I mentioned on last week's pod about how it's like unsung heroes that keep stepping up. The McCrane brothers for Auburn look awesome so far, and a lot of people within the program will tell you, no one saw this coming. At least like in terms of last year, maybe there were signs in the fall, but this weekend, Mason McCrane on Saturday went 4 for 5 with a home run, 6 RBI. His brother Brandon McCrane on the whole weekend, 4 for 9, got walked 4 times. I mean, they've stepped up and filled in all the holes. Like Chris Rembert came back this weekend, didn't look great. He went 2 for 9 with 3 strikeouts, but also he's going to work his way back. You can tell he looked a little I don't know if uncomfortable is the word, but he wasn't as polished. He wasn't 100% probably, but he's going to work his way back to that point by SEC play. He was just DHing on Friday, wasn't even playing in the field, just kind of easing his way back in. But as a whole, the team looked really good this weekend. Today and yesterday were super promising, and got a little cupcake next week, or not cupcake, sorry. There's worse teams that SEC teams are playing next week, but lower competition in Winthrop coming in. And then you got Mizzou, you're building your way into the SEC schedule, just kind of slowly ramp. Well, I don't know if we can call Mizzou ramping up from Winthrop, but that's a whole different conversation. Point being,
let's not bang on Winthrop. I'm excited to see him out here.
This is a point for Winthrop. To say that Winthrop's a better team than Missouri is not the craziest thing in the world. So I don't know. I don't even know.
Anti-Miami, anti-Mizzou stuff is coming out today.
Anti-Winthrop, man, fan bases are coming after you, Josh.
I think everybody is anti-Mizzou isn't just a me or a you thing. It's just common knowledge. They're out there losing to Mount St. Mary's. What are we talking about?
Josh, you just got ECU fans off of you. You're going to do this again?
Trust me, I am watching ECU baseball. I'm acknowledging these losses they're racking up. Trust me.
I know you are.
Forget.
I know you don't. I know you don't. Elephants and Josh. Love it. Brandon, we'll go to you for a quick point about this. Ole Miss, not what we expected of the Rebs against Houston. Excuse me.
Yeah, weird. Lose 2 of 3. You lose to Baylor, who is a young team. That's kind of weird. But then you beat Ohio State, who also got beat by UTSA. Check out their Twitter account with the slick back hairbird logo. It's pretty sick.
A fabulous tweet. UTSA's Twitter has been on fire this week.
Yeah.
I don't know if you,
The dub
I don't know if y'all saw the one where they were
the dub, that was sick. But then you lose to Coastal Carolina, who just lost their 2 best pitchers for basically the season. That's a bad loss. But Dom Decker stood out this weekend for him. He produced, hit a second homer of the year. Pitching staff looked really good against Ohio State. Townsend, 5 innings, 9 strikeouts, and only a walk. So kind of a mixed bag for them, I'd say. Not really sure what to take away from that.
Guys, let's play a quick round of the worryometer, shall we? Worryometer 1 would be no worries. This is totally fine. 10 being alarm bells have been going off. This is a red alert. Hunter Elliott, where are we at with Hunter Elliott on the worryometer, Josh?
I mean, I kind of want to lean towards track record more than as a whole than what we've seen just this year, but I'll say like a 6. It's been really concerning this year, but I mean, he had a sub-3 ERA last year and was really good the whole season. But it's been 2 of his 3 outings so far are just it's really we don't view him as a long-term, has a great future in the sport kind of thing. But there are some guys that are just really good as college arms and just produce really well at the college game. That's one of them, and he's shown it. But so far against Missouri State and I guess it was Baylor this week. I mean, it just not anything really promising. I mean, maybe it'll turn around, but a 6 probably feels pretty safe.
Yeah, JB, on the worryometer, where are you at with Hunter Elliott?
I mean, I guess maybe I'm lower just because 5 innings, 1 earned, 11 Ks this weekend. I mean, it's a promising outing, so I'd probably say a 3, maybe. I mean, I think he's bouncing back, so he'll be all right, I think.
Brandon, the worryometer, it's one of our favorite tools. 1 again being not worried at all, 10 being ultimate levels of worry. Do you have any kind of set feelings on Hunter Elliott?
I think I'd just go with JB a 3 or 4 because he's only allowed 9 hits this year. I mean, can't really be worried about that, you know?
Okay.
Oh,
So I was in the middle at 5, so I'm gonna of course split the middle between all of you. I like it. That's fine. JB, we'll go to you for the final bit of news from the storylines around the game. NC State, they set a program record for runs in the series. Josh, that was a good note. JB, what's the word with NC State?
Yeah, this offense is firing on all cylinders right now. I mean, Ty Head is broken out like a lot of us we've heard a lot about, but now he's really showing it. Luke Nixon had a nice weekend as well. He had multiple multi-hit games in this, like most of the NC State team. Chris McHugh, one of Josh's faves, he had a nice weekend as well. We saw a little bit more Andrew Wiggins, who a lot of people have been worried about wanting to see him, so he got in the lineup, got a nice homer. Is kind of an overall group effort for them. And Sherman Johnson, one of their top JUCO transfers, also had a nice weekend. So it's kind of a big effort from NC State, and the team has looked fairly dominant. Duden's looked pretty sharp too, who we've talked about a lot, along with Ryan Marone. So, I mean, the Wolfpack, we kind of talked about it, but I had them as a sleeper in the ACC. They're looking pretty good. So it'll be a nice series for them coming into ACC.
Could it be that somehow we get a combined force of the Josh agenda and the JB agenda coming together as one?
I don't think JB is going to be pushing any kind of positive NC State agendas long term. Let's just be real. I won't.
So
either, but
he did for the moment.
Agenda. I mean, like, that's fine.
Josh, do you have something? Do you have some kind of North Carolina based team that you support?
Elon.
That's okay. I was gonna say I've never heard you talk about a North Carolina based team. It's crazy.
Future Queens team. There you go.
That's it.
What
Queens.
Whenever Southern Miss
Queens
relocates to North Carolina, those will be my guys.
So, Southern Miss Charlotte, got it. That's your team. All right, Josh. We'll stick with you and talk about your actual favorite team. As you guys well know, Tuesday, if this game was happening in the opposite city, your boy would be there. I have the inverse game circled on my calendar later this season, but it is Mississippi State against Southern Miss. Josh, what's the number one facet of this game you're looking at?
I'd say the offense for both teams. Southern Miss, that's the selling point on their team. Mostly they look great against La Tech this weekend. Mississippi State's offense looked great in Arlington. Both teams typically run out they seem to have run out like an opener type role in the midweeks.
Mm-hmm.
William Kirk usually gets the ball for State, but there's probably going to be 5-6 guys that go for them. Same thing for Southern Miss. I expect a lot of offense. And I mean, there's a chance when we see rankings released tomorrow, Southern Miss might be a top 10 team, but they're going to be pretty close. Mississippi State, we know it's going to be. So you could get a top 10, definitely a top 15, but maybe a top 10 matchup in the midweek. Should be fun.
I can say with near relative certainty that as far as the Prospects Live ranks are concerned, it will be a top 15 matchup, if not better.
Anyway, Brand, we have got another matchup of teams in the same state because we're going closer to your neck of the woods, Oregon State and Oregon. Wow. I mean, a loaded game if there ever was one. What's the number one aspect of this game you think is going to be the thing to watch in the midweek?
Man, I think it's got to be Oregon State's pitching versus Oregon's offense. I guess my only complaint is that this is a midweek game and not a weekend game because I'd rather see 3 versus 1. But I think it's Oregon's offense versus Oregon State's pitching staff. So that's what I got for that.
Curious, man. Seeing how Maloney specifically can handle a pitcher of Dax or Kleinschmidt's ilk would certainly do wonders for his draft stock in my eyes. So great point there. JB, we're looking at now your neck of the woods. Well, I guess it's Brandon's neck of the woods as well. It's California. JB, it's time for you to talk about California baseball. Irvine, a team you love to talk about, and USC, a team that I think we have criminally not discussed enough on this pod yet this year.
Yeah, I think, it's kind of a mix of two teams coming off of really hot starts or hot weekends, I guess I should say. Going for battle in a midweek. UCI, after coming out of the Live Like Lou tournament with the best offensive showing we've seen for them this year, and then USC kind of coming off of a 4-game sweep of Cal Poly is something that we all were really impressed by, including Mason Edwards, but of course those guys aren't going to throw. UCI, I guess the big talking point would be Finnegan Wall's probably going to go for them. He went 5 innings with no runs in his last midweek start, so that'll be a fun one to watch against the USC offense that's been hot. And then USC, it'll probably be Chase Harrell. He only went 3 1/3 last time and allowed 3. Kind of a more committee thing like Josh was talking about for USC, but fun game to watch, honestly.
think so. Another game that is going to be an interesting one that I'll just really quickly touch on. I think we're going to see a matchup of teams whose pitching I'm far more interested in than I suspected I would be on the onset of this year. Josh, another one of your favorite teams, Dallas Baptist, going to be taking on one of the sleeper Cinderellas of the year. It's Oklahoma. And guys, Oklahoma's pitching has been a shocker. I think that's probably the nicest way we can say it. But you're looking at the guys like Cord Ranger, Cam Johnson, LJ Mercurius. These dudes, they're weekend guys, of course. We're not going to be seeing them during the midweek for this game with DBU. But the pitching staff for Oklahoma has been a big surprise. Curious to see what they do against DBU, who I know has made quality pitchers for quite a while now. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup in the midweek. I believe that one is Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, Tuesday. Very good. I'll have to be sure to tune in to that on Tuesday. Tune in on Tuesday. And we appreciate you tuning in to this episode of College Baseball Now. I do want to take a minute for you guys to shout out where you are on social media and what you're working on. Brandon, again, what a treat it was to have you join us to talk about baseball for the weekend. You have filled in admirably for Coach Jake. Tell the people at home where they can find you on social media and what you're working on as well.
Yes, you can find. Oh God, I guess I still say Twitter, but if you want to say X, it's at @bmoney831, which is also Instagram if you want to follow me there. I've been grinding the WAC WCC conference out here out west, trying to give it a little love for the nation. Excited to jump on the college sheet next week, and then I just signed up to do high A games for Monday Post for the minor league sheet for the season.
Oh, awesome!
So, yeah.
That's going to keep you busy. The daily sheet is a grind.
Yes, I do love it.
It is fun. I say that as a guy who is 2 days behind on his Big 12 obligation. So trust me, it is an obligation. JB, where can the people find you on social media? What are you working on?
Yeah, it's at JB_Sebastiano on, I always say Twitter, so don't feel bad, Brandon. You know, that's what it is for me. Probably just same old for me. Probably some more little live look stuff hopefully coming out soon. And then I guess at this point it's going to turn to more of a overlook of the UNC team through 3 series of the year just from being busy. But, you know, a good little update on them and who they played, I guess.
Absolutely. No shame in your game, pal. I love it. Josh, where can the people find you and what are you working on, pal?
You can follow me on X at JoshCatlett3. Same old as usual. I'll post my rankings. We'll get our Prospects Live rankings out. I'll get those retweeted. Some little things here and there in between. Nothing crazy. Mostly nothing for the site for the time being because, I don't know, daily sheet stuff's pretty much filled up, which is a good thing, I guess. But, yeah, I same old for me pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to get you back on the site here soon. I know the people love your insights. Between you and Brandon, the live looks have been great, so I appreciate you guys for sure. And if you haven't, you need to go check those out on the site. Please follow me on social media. That is the Twitter machine. That is Blue Sky. That is Instagram at DrewIsOK. We are going to be working on getting an updated college list, which is predominant to you all listening to this at prospectslive.com. Memberships start as low as $7 a month. That's how you're going to get to see our next college list, which, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to go to 200 strong. 200, top 200 prospects NCAA for the 2026 draft this summer. It's going to be a great update. Going to have a lot of stuff on there, literally doubling the list. And, of course, college baseball now coming to you all season long. Until next time that we speak to you, on behalf of Josh, JB, Brandon, and our dear friend Coach Jake, we want to say hello to you, Jake. We've missed you, and we'll see you all at home next time as well. So take care. Bye-bye. Remember to be nice to yourself. Be nice to each other, too. Later.